I've always been interested in contributing to open source projects. What's a good way to get started? Love that question because there's so many good ways to get started. You could get started by just helping triage issues. So many open source projects have issues where the maintainers, they don't know if it's a real bug or not. A lot of repositories also have what are called good first issues. Home Assistant is this cool open source org. In Home Assistant, look at that. They have 2.9K issues. Do you see that? They have so many labels. That's amazing. Good first issue. Aha! They've already got some here where it's like, this is a good first issue for you to take on and fix. And also generally just thinking, what are some projects that I use, that I care about, that I might be able to help with?
The Developer Party of the Year is back. GitHub Universe lands in San Francisco and online October 28 through 29. Expect workshops, panels, demos, networking with your open source heroes, and a wonderland of interactive fun. Super early bird tickets are now available until July 8th because who doesn't love a good deal and a great excuse to mingle with fellow builders?
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining from. Welcome, 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 welcome to Open Source Friday, the show sponsored by GitHub, where we have the privilege of talking to the maintainers, the contributors, all of you awesome folks that keep open source going. Welcome. My name is Andrea Griffiths, a la Colombia dev in all places, and I am so excited to be here. I'm selfishly had a mini conversation with our guest before we started because I'm going to be speaking at a conference next week and I want to use this. So I was asking him to solve my problems, but now he's here to solve all of yours. Today we are super thrilled because we're talking about something that is, I swear, regardless whether if you're in DevRel, if you're in any type of engineer, developer, programmer, product manager, regardless. Excuse Wilson, he's having a fit today. I hope his barking is not too loud. At some point, you're gonna have to do a presentation. You're gonna have to show a demo. If you are a nervous live coder like I am, it's absolutely terrifying when you're on a stage and you're kind of hoping things go right. And then especially live. So this tool comes in super handy for all those things. I remember back in the day, I used to use something called DexSet. We live in Markdown. Most of our documentation, everything we write is in Markdown. Most of us are usually in VS Code. So this is like the perfect marriage of everything that makes that type of presentation awesome in one place. So I am so delighted to have our guest today. Elio, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your last name because I will absolutely destroy it. But I am thrilled to give a quick bio introduction and then we'll bring Elio on board. So Elio is an award-winning engineering lead, He is renowned for his expertise and passion in tech communities, has over a decade experience. He's become a trusted thought leader, captivated public speaker. I can attest to this. He is a fantastic speaker and a great and influential figure in the world of information technology. Elio has been a speaker, gracing stages like Barcelona, London, Paris, and Stockholm. And he's given a ton of very engaging talks, including topics of SharePoint, Azure, DevOps. Elio is also a GitHub star. So 4 times he's been a GitHub star. He's also a Google developer expert and a 4-time SharePoint Microsoft 365 top 25 influencer. So Elio is also the president of the Belgian Information Worker User Group and the driving force behind Struyf Consulting, making incredible impact. Always an amazing start to have in our Slack channels and in real life. Super passionate about technology, and I can attest that he never shies away from a conversation to show you something cool and sit down next to you and help you try to fix your problem. I know I've taken advantage of that way too many times. Welcome, Elio. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Andrea. So you actually tried to pronounce my last name, so you did really well.
Oh gosh. Okay, help me out here. Would you please say it for us?
Struyf.
Struyf. I'll never forget it now. Well, welcome, Elio. Welcome, welcome. And welcome everyone who's joining. Sachin, thank you for joining from India. We got folks from Rhode. We got folks from everywhere. So welcome, everyone. I'm going to briefly mute myself and tell Wilson to cease and desist. Can y'all hear him? Is he loud enough that everyone can hear him? Can you hear a dog barking in the background?
Yeah, indeed.
Gosh, he's unbelievable. I might just go grab him. So, Elio, tell me, first of all, where are you joining from? General location.
I'm joining from Belgium and actually near Antwerp. So it's more in the north of Belgium. So that's where I'm joining from.
Amazing. Okay. And then before we get started, you have a wonderful presentation ready for us, but I have to ask you the motivation for you, and you might be, this might be things that you touch. I know you created this product, you made it open source, which is amazing. But first, before we get started into actually what you're going to show us today, would you tell us like what problem were you trying to solve for yourself? Because this is how usually those things get started, right? So you needed something and it didn't exist.
Correct. A lot of that I will cover during the session or during the presentation. But one of those things that I was trying to solve myself as a speaker, because it's a tool for speakers, for meetings, for demos, for workshops, anything you do with training, the tool can be used for. But what I saw myself doing when I went from presentation or from conference to conference is most of the time giving a couple of the same presentations, and I had to script all these things. And over the years, scripting was like pen and paper, then it became like notes, then it became snippets and so on. So I had to find myself a way so that it could be better. And actually somebody from the community said to me like, hey, can't you create something yourself? And that made me start taking a look at it like, yeah, maybe I can do that. So that's how it actually began, I think, already 2 years. So I began then on developing demo time, and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And it keeps on evolving.
I love this. Nothing like a good nerd snipe to get you to do something. You just build it yourself. Amazing. Well, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to pay a ton of attention because I am going to go do this, and I will put my presentation and demo time for next week. And so take it away, Elio, whenever you're ready.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Andrea. So welcome, everyone. So right now I'm going to do a presentation around demo time. It's all in Visual Studio Code, but you can use it in any visuals or in any code editor that is Visual Studio Code based, like Cursor, Windsurf, and any other fancy extension or developer environments. So first of all, we are in our own spaces at our own location. So I want to have it a little bit more interactive. So if you can scan this code or go to engagetime.live/sessions and then fill in this ID, you will enter a zone where I'm going to open up a couple of polls. And then we have some interaction during the session so that I can learn from you as well. What are your pain points and so on. So that said, let's dive in. So one of the things when you're a speaker is being live on stage, it can be a struggle. Why? Because there's always a little bit of tension. Is it going to work? Did I do it right? All of these things, yeah, that can be very stressful, and you're not in your own good habit. So one of those things that I saw is when you're doing a live coding demo, it can be, oh damn, I forgot my notifications. Sorry. And my script font is not correct. Damn. Oh, I forgot so many things. So this is already putting you out of the flow because you forgot a couple of things. So what you need to do then is telling your audience, oh, sorry, audience, I first am going to turn on my disturb mode, and then I'm going to switch my settings for my color theme so that you can better see it. And then I'm going to increase my font. Okay, now it's perfect. Now we can all start. So these things are typical things that I still see at some conferences where speakers just forget to do all these things. And all of that can already be prepared straight from the beginning when you're doing your talk. Now, if this kind of thing happens, you're already out of your own focus. So all of a sudden, you were like, I'm going to say this and this and this, but you had to pause and go back and trying to solve the thing and probably making some fun. And yeah, I see a comment coming in, like, can you zoom in? These kind of things, these happen indeed. So you forgot actually what you were saying and doing and about the show. So you have to rewind, stop a little bit, and then continue. So probably that sounds familiar. And this is going to be our first poll. So I hope that people joined. If not, I think the link is now in the comments. And the first question is, have you ever had a live demo go wrong? Or have you ever seen a live demo going wrong? Most probably, I did a couple of times. And yes, my demos also went wrong. And okay, we have one user that has never done a live coding. So that's also good. So then you never experience that. Hopefully there are people coming in and that are going to say that there are actually multiple demos going wrong. Oh, we have one. Perfect.
That was probably me all the time.
Oh, okay. So you had one demo going wrong. See, people are still shy and they don't dare to answer. Okay, so there are actually people that have a couple of things going wrong. So that's exactly the thing I was looking for. Yes, presentations and live coding demos, they tend to go wrong. Most of the times we sacrifice chickens for the demo gods. If we don't do that, everything will fail. So let's move on. So what's why and why demo time? Demo time is going to be your safety net for live coding. Why? Because you can script everything. So scripting your demo is giving yourself the confidence because everything that you're going to do is already prepared by yourself. So you know what you're going to say. You can present slides as well in your editor, so you don't lose any focus of, oh, I need to now go to PowerPoint and then go back to Visual Studio Code again. So you're staying in the same environment without losing the focus of what you were doing. As well for the attendee, because the attendee doesn't like to see a lot of animations going from PowerPoint over to your code editor, over to your browser, and maybe accidentally opening the wrong application, and then you need to go back and forward. So it also gives you the focus on your audience, not on what you're actually typing or doing or clicking around. No, you can just tell your story with knowing that your demos are going to work. So this is not an image I created. It's a very similar one that I used to create in the past. This is actually how some people create their sessions. So they set a scene, they want to bring a key message, and then they say, this is what I'm going to say on this slide and this slide and this slide. So this is how a script can look like. Now, my script these days is more like, or a PowerPoint script is typically what you just saw, but a demo script is something that I want to look like as how I look like to slides in PowerPoint. And it became this. This is what my environment looks like right now. So here you see my overview of what actually demo time is and how my application or how my talk is structured. So you can see the demos that I'm going to do. You can also see the slides that I'm going to present, all in a very structured way. And I even have on my second monitor, I even have a presenter view that I can see, okay, this is the next thing that is going to happen. You see it as well, because I didn't hide anything yet. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about scripting demos. So clicking on my next button, scripting demos is there for you to stop writing it all over again and then resetting your demo when you're done. So all of that can be scripted the way you want it. And the moment you're done, you just have to remove all the changes and then go back and you can run it again. So it's much easier to do dry runs. It's much easier to go to a conference, open up your presentation, go through it. You can just present without actually thinking about, where is my script? Did I put it in my notes, or did I put it somewhere in OneNote or on my pen and paper? No, you have it. Everything is there, so you don't have to write anything down. You have your presentation. Anything that is there in Visual Studio Code can be controlled by you, meaning you can automate anything. So let's see if this, people already started working on the poll. Thank you very much. So how do you currently prepare your demos? So currently a lot of people, or a couple of people, do it pen and paper. That's the same way as I did. Recording backups. Yeah, that's also a good way. I don't like to talk over recordings because it's kind of odd. Memorize it. If you're doing that, fantastic. You're very good in doing that. I couldn't do that because I always lose track of myself, what I'm doing. So thank you very much for telling me these things. And what I typically do now is, and now I'm going to jump to a code demo. So what Demo Time just did for me is it created a new file. So, and the next thing I'm going to do is write some code. Now, this is just some sample code. And have you ever seen somebody writing on stage? Most of the time, the best person that can write very good at their own PC is the worst person that is going to write on stage. I always have it. I always have typos live on stage. Why? I don't know. Is it the fear? Is it the stress? I'm not sure what is happening back then, but all of a sudden, it's like the very first time that I'm touching a keyboard. Now, what I only need to do is taking this finger, pressing on my keyboard, and there we go. It's automatically typing for me. So the way how it types, all of these things, you're in full control over that experience. So I just said, type it for me, save this file, and so on. Another thing is what we try to do during a session is explaining code. And then some of the presenters go like this. Oh, you see these lines? These are very important. No, now we only have to do this. We just say, hey, these are the lines that I want to talk about. And you see that some of the lines underneath it are blurred. All of that can be configured by you. So you can just say, this is how I want to have my highlighting experience popping up. And then you can set the opacity, you can set the blurring effect, and so on to the other lines. So everyone is now focusing on this part of the code and not the rest, because it's going to show this. I can also do it for another part. So I can just say, hey, unhighlight this and go to another highlighting. So that's something that can be done. So with automation, make you confident in presenting more. What do you think? Or what's your choice? So yes, definitely. Okay. So I think people understand that these kind of tools make it a lot easier. So let's continue. So demo time is not just about code. I already mentioned that demo time is more than code alone, as I'm already presenting slides. But as I said, you can do anything that you can do within Visual Studio Code can be done within demo time. So you can automate anything that you see over here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the command prompt or command palette and do a couple of things. But in this case, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to let demo time do it for me. And just to show you that I'm not cheating, if I press next, it's going to say that it's going to toggle my full screen and so on. So it toggled my full screen. But these things, they can also be automated behind the scenes. So I can just say, hey, Visual Studio, do this command and do that command. So if I press next again, you will see that I'm going in full screen mode. So you don't see anything from Visual Studio Code anymore. And this is the way typically how I present, because you want to have a full experience, like a regular slide that you're going to show to your audience. So that's what I just did. And this is also the reason why I showed Visual Studio Code with their title bar, status bar, and so on. And I can just continue pressing next. In this case, it's going to run a build, what you just saw. And let me clear this out. And if I press next again, it's going to run my Node app, which is just my app.js file that was created by the build. And then you see that it's going to do the console logging from what was created before. So all automatically done for me because I scripted it and I knew what was going to happen. Again, I'm going to flip to my slides. It closed my terminal and it went back over to my slides. So slides are also part of demo time. The reason why is I don't like context switching. And the very first time that I created demo time, I was still using PowerPoint, and then I saw myself flipping from PowerPoint over to demo time. These days in PowerPoint, you also have an add-in called demo time, which you can couple together. And then you can automatically start a demo from PowerPoint. And there's also an open PowerPoint, open Keynote command or action that is going back to Keynote or PowerPoint. So if you still want to use PowerPoint, you can do it. But one of the reasons is I want to stay within my editor. Slides are created as Markdown. I love Markdown. It's very easy. You have full control over it. And also the theming over here. This is a theme that I just created this morning to make sure that it fits the GitHub brand. I got some inspiration from the GitHub changelog. So very nice website. And there I took some images, I took the fonts and so on to make sure that it looks familiar. So what does this slide look like? This is what the slide actually looks behind the scenes. So it's just a layout, and the layout that I used for this slide is a section. And on the slide itself, there's only one header tag. These slides are not are also part of demo time. Not why not? So are also part of demo time. So that's actually the same slide, but the source of that slide that is being used. Now, I always talk about the speaker and the speaker experience because, one, this is a tool for speakers, but it's also very important when you're in the audience as an attendee that you gain some benefit from it. And the benefit one is that your speaker is fully focused on what they are doing, they are presenting. They don't lose the focus, they can talk, and they can even present even more because when you're typing, it's going slower than when you prepared your code. So it's a lot easier to let the talking be done for you automatically and you talk through it so that when mistakes happen, you don't have to explain why it happened or you don't have to figure it out. Because sometimes when you do a typo and you build it, most of the time when it fails, there's somebody in the audience that already knows where it failed, and then you have to look it up for yourself. And if that person is shy, they won't tell you. So then you're like, damn, let's continue. I don't know what worked or why it failed, but let's continue to the other demo. And then in your head, you're still like, damn. But after this presentation, what I can give you is a repository URL. And this repository URL is the whole presentation. The nice thing about this is that a presentation now becomes something tangible that you can give to somebody, and they can go through it at their own pace. So you can learn at your own computer with the same slides, and you don't have to write anything down anymore during your presentation. You can just keep on looking through the presentation, get everything in, and being sure that what I'm going to give you is something that you can try out yourself as well. I've been to many presentations in my life, and most of the time you get a PowerPoint deck, and then maybe you get the demos, but then you're opening the PowerPoint and it's like, okay, and here is a slide demo, but what is the demo and how did they start it? Now you just have it. So it's all at your fingertips, so you can just go through it. So attendees can explore it at their own pace. Very good. At the end of the session, I'm going to share one link. So if you already joined Engage Time, there's also the link there. I think Andrea is also going to share them, but here in the slide deck, there will also be there. And this is actually the URL. So if you go to this URL, you don't have to do it right now. That's the repository, and then you will find everything. So what you can do now is, if you download it, open Visual Studio Code, install demo time, and normally it's going to ask you to install it, but if it doesn't do it, you can install it manually. You can see inside your Explorer. It will be down under here. For me, it's somewhere else because I dragged it out, but there will be demo time, and then you can start clicking, and it will automatically open the slides and all of that thing. So you, as a speaker, just focus on the content, on presenting. You, as an attendee, can just focus on the content that is presented to you and learn at the end of the session or the next day when you are home and saying, okay, now I have time to walk through it on my own. So if you were in the audience, would you download and try to reuse the demos afterwards? So there are already 5 people that are saying absolutely. I love to see this because this is also the reason why I started to create it, to making sure that you have a very good experience, not during the session or during the session and also after the session. So thank you for filling in that survey. So what about the configuration? Yeah, that's a good question. So one of those things is whenever you're going to script, you need to code. And this is something that I did in the past. So in the past, I said everything needs to be coded, and you can still do that. But nowadays, there's a configuration editor. And the configuration editor is made for you to make it a lot easier to do whatever you want during your demo. So in this case, this is my configuration editor for my YAML file. Every demo can be either a YAML file or can be a JSON file. It's up to you. And every demo consists of a title. There are demos in it. So here are the demos. And let's say that I'm going to go to the open config. This is just some information. And there are steps. And every demo can consist of multiple steps that are going to run sequentially. Meaning, if you want to create a file and add some content to the file, these are 2 steps, but they can run in one single demo. So create it, open it, and you can talk about it. So you will see here at ND, I'm going to set a theme. I'm going to start Engage Time poll, and I'm going to open my slides. So multiple steps all at the same time. And so you don't see these things, but if I'm going from code over to a slide, I'm flipping the theme because I like to have a dark theme for my slides so that everything in my slide is using the dark theme. So that's why I'm going to say over here, set the theme to demo time dark. if I'm going to go and let's say that I want to add content. No, write some code over here. Over here, I say set the theme to demo time light, because I want to make sure that I'm going to show everything in a nice UI, in a nice light theme. So where was I? Over here, open configuration. Yeah. So over here, I just specified open, which is an action, and there are a lot of actions already present. So there are even Copilot actions. So you can open Copilot. There you can say, I want to ask Copilot chat something. All of these things can be done. So if we say, and I didn't prepare this, so let's
I'm glad. No, we get to see it in action, because actually that was one of the questions in the chat. What does it feel like when you're doing this configuration? Like,
okay, yeah, cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, dropping it in over here. And let's say, yeah, demo time 30 is not a good name. Let's say GitHub Copilot. See, typing when doing a session is never a good idea.
It's so stressful.
Oh yeah, and I could also say that if you want to work with code, you can still go to the source, and then you will see the source. So working with Copilot, let's say, what I can do over here is ask Copilot chat, and then you see that the experience is already different. You can enter a message. But if you want to make it so that it's like, that it feels a bit like you're typing, you don't have to enter a message over here. What you can do then is say, type text and tell me a joke about GitHub. Oh yeah, you're not allowed to say please. So now it's going to type text. And now I want to make sure that the enter key is pressed. So I'm going to say, hey, press me enter. And this should be fine. So I can run it from here. So I can say test the demo and then run the demo. There we go. Tell me a joke. It's working on it. Why did GitHub Copilot go to school? To improve its pair programming skills. Ta-da! So
amazing.
So this is what it looks like when you're doing it. So you can do even more, like creating a file, opening, renaming. There are a lot of actions. Let's say there is like these things is something new, but I like to back up my settings because my settings for before my session are different than when I'm doing a session, because you increase the font and so on. So afterwards, at the end of my session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restore my settings. And over here, you see a couple of commands. These are the commands that I want to do to make sure that my environment is going back to the way it was before. So it's going to turn off or toggle again the full screen mode. Over here, I'm going to turn on my disturb mode again, because my notifications can come in. I want to show my custom title bar, and so on and so on. And I can even run terminal commands to say, hey, remove me the app.js and app.ts file that were created during these demos. So over here is an error message. If you click on this one on here, you will see also GitHub Copilot step 4 has an error. Why? Because create needs to have a path. If you click this, it will also open this particular thing. So right now, I'm just going to leave that. And then we can continue. Oh yeah, okay. It's going to do that again because it was not triggered in the actual flow. I did a demo trigger, so the demo trigger is not registered as an actual flow. So we're coming to the end of the presentation. So where can you actually find Demo Time? It's on demotime.show. We already shared the GitHub repository for, oh no, not for Demo Time yet, but if you want to go there, there's like VS Code Demo Time. Everything just got moved to NX. I know NX didn't have a good name in the last couple of days, but still, I love NX. It's a really good tool for maintaining my mono repository for demo time. No, so everything is in there, from all the web views, the PowerPoint add-in, also the documentation and so on. So feel free to check it out. And if you like it, you can start a project as well. That would be amazing. A couple of quotes that I gathered and that I probably came up with myself is that PowerPoint is typically created or used for making your talks repeatable, so that you can just pick up a PowerPoint, go to a conversation, and start presenting them. Now, Demo Time makes your technical talks repeatable because you script it once, you can use it anytime. You don't have to think about it anymore. And one thing I really like is, let's make your next demo be remembered for what you said and not the mistakes that you actually made during the demo. So this is something I want to end up with. So thank you for listening to me at talking about Demo Time. And yeah, Andrea, if there are questions, I'm more than happy to talk about them. Oh yeah, and then the last thing is that everything went back to normal because it ran my end script. So you see that all of it, my full VS Code environment is back because all of these things just happened behind the scenes.
Okay. So when you're running the actual slideshow, that's running on a local port, and that's the simple browser that you have open there, right? Like that's the tab that's open.
No. The simple browser is actually the one
that was
is
for
going
the
to
poll.
open Engage Time.
Okay.
So
show me.
So the slides is a web view in Visual Studio Code.
Got it.
In Visual Studio Code, you can create web views. So the overview is a web view. This is a web view. So there are now 4 different experiences. So your settings is a web view. So settings, your config editor, your preview for the slides, and the overview. So 4 different web views that are there. So you don't run any local server.
Wow, that's changed since the last time I looked at it then. Or maybe I'm thinking like way before. So that's amazing. And I'm gonna leave you here for just one moment while I go grab this guilty person that you can hear in the background. I'll be right back. I think, and folks, go ahead and post your questions on the chat. I wish I had a demo time for making Wilson be quiet. The problem is I left my office door open and he just doesn't know how to act. So I will be right back. I'm going to excuse myself for 1 second. Elio, can you tell us where you're going to be next? Are you going to be speaking about Demo Time in any conferences? And I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm not going to speak about Demo Time at the conferences. I will always use Demo Time during my talks, but yeah, it's very hard to do a session about the product for conferences, unfortunately. So that's something I'm not doing. But yeah, presenting with Demo Time
everywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. And if I wanted to try it, so one way to try it would be to obviously like use this repo that you so generously set up with a presentation, so I can like literally run through the same flow. But then are there templates? Like are people, I feel like, were there templates that were already preset or?
Yeah. So if you're going to install it, and let's close everything down. If you're going to install it, come on, work with me. Visual Studio Code is going to be like this. Okay. So this is how Visual Studio Code will show Demo Time. So it will be here, and there will be an initialize button. by default. If you click the initialize button, it's somewhat the same experience as you have over here with create new demo file. It's going to ask you, do you want to create a new file? Do you want to create it from a sample? And there are two samples, one a very simple one, and then another one where some team updates, highlighting, and so on is there. So let's say sample 1 is going to be taken. So it's going to create it for you.
Okay.
And over here, you see this one. And then what is in there? It's first going to show a slide. Open the slide. This is the information slide. Then it's going to open a code file. It's going to do some highlighting, and highlighting can be done on very different ways. It can be either by position, and you can do it line by line, or you can use placeholders. So in your code, if you have a line with a comment, or if you have like a function name that you want to use, you can also use these things. You can also set a zoom level. So by default,
very cool.
If I'm going to run this, let's say highlight code. So right now it's not having a zoom level. And if you accidentally remove the highlighting, you can click on these things again. So if I click on the pink one, it's going to highlight it. But what happens if I'm going to do this? I'm going to say, zoom in 5 times. You see that the font is already bigger. If I click next to it or away from it, it's going to go back. If I click on this one again, it's going to zoom in. So this is what zooming can do. And this is also something you can pre-configure on beforehand, so that you don't have to think about, how did I zoom in again? No, this is something you can do by yourself. If there is something inside the code that you want to highlight, like you have a question, you can either do it like this, which is 1, or 2. If you click on this yellow one, it's going to highlight this 2. If in your settings there is like, let me think how I can do this, because one of those things that I don't want to show is my key.
Good point.
Okay, my key is there. So then I'm going to change this afterwards. No problem. But there is like some settings that can be preset. And I'm going to look at this. Here, the zoom level. If you always want to use a zoom level like 5, you can save this. If you go back to here, this file, and I would say do this, it's automatically going to zoom as well.
Gotcha. But those settings are for the extension as a whole, or per project?
No. These settings are for the presentation. I just created this because then it makes it easier for doing some highlighting and so on. So all of these settings, they are going to be here in VS Code settings. Here are all the settings.
Got it.
So these are the settings that you just saw. The only setting that is not there is my API key, because that's in the Visual Studio Code secret storage. But all of the other settings are here. But this settings view makes it a lot easier to just go there and start editing your settings.
Okay. And so if I have a project and I want to use, and I think I'm hearing myself backwards. If you could, I'm going to mute you for just a moment, because I think it's because there is no headphones. So if I have a project and I want to share the presentation within my repo, like say like right now, I got this little scanner read and go, and I want to present it using demo time, then this will live inside that repository, or okay. But it wouldn't be part of the actual, it would live in the repository, but it wouldn't be part actually of the actual code. It would just be like a folder. What does it look like when you do that? Could you show us one of the maybe more technical ones that you've done for your own demos, like outside of this, just so I can like wrap my brain around that, because I think that's where I'm a bit stuck. And folks, if you have questions, please let's take advantage of Elio being here, not just my questions.
So Okay, sorry. So you want to know what the presentation looks like with another code base. Let me find one. I was not prepared for this. Let's see. Is this a good one? I don't think this is. Yeah, this can be a good one. So in this case, no, this is not a good one. No, this is not the one that I was looking for. Let me go here.
I can remove your screen for a bit if you want to find it, and then just tell me when you're ready to share. And I'm sorry to throw this at you.
No, I just need to.
But I do want to see it.
This is not my conference laptop or device, so I need to check which of these things I have at hand.
For sure. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to take a look through the chat and see if there are any questions. We also need to talk about how people can contribute to the project because, folks, this is open source. So,
yeah. Correct. I think this is a better example. And oh, this is an old one. And let's.
And it's totally fine if you don't have one handy, Elio.
No, I have one.
You on the spot. Okay, perfect. Are you okay for me to share now?
Yeah.
All right.
So this is a presentation that I did a long time ago with, I think it was around, oh yeah, this is still using a simple browser. But what it's actually going to do is a session around end-to-end testing with Playwright. So here I have two projects. One was my presentation, which is actually a website that is going to be created. And then the other project, the end-to-end project, is going to do the testing of this presentation website. So both of these things are two code projects that are connected to each other. But yeah, one of the things that I was presenting was how you can go from your code over to a product on Microsoft 365 with 2FA authentication, so that you can test this out on Microsoft 365. That's why it's Playwright to factor authentication testing. So there was a session around that. And then the demos, they just live at the root of your project. So the moment it discovers something, then you can actually see this in your demo time, and then you can click on it, open the Power app in this case. And I think this is going to open your browser because it needs to go to Power Apps, and so on and so on. So all of these things, they can live within your project, and this is what it can look like. So all of your demos live in a .demo folder. And you see over here, you have multiple demo files. So this is also the way it goes. So, sometimes I split everything up in multiple modules to make it easier, to make it smaller. But also, if I say I'm going to do this presentation again for another company, I can just copy this block and I put it somewhere else in another presentation. That way I can reuse it without actually recreating it myself again.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, this is awesome. I think that was part of the bit that I was stuck in my brain of what that directory looked like. So thank you for taking the time of finding one and sharing it. That's super helpful. There was a question in the chat about possible extensions and plugins for demo time. What are you thinking in terms of that? I know that, well, the PowerPoint plugin, that is a plugin that already exists, right?
Yeah, I love to chat about these kind of plugins. So one of the things is somebody from the community is already trying to create an extension for Chrome in order to go to Chrome, go back to Chrome, and so on, and open the right tab in Chrome, and so on. So that is one thing that is currently being worked on. So that's a really good thing. Any other possibilities? Yeah, feel free to hit me on the issue list from Demo Time, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. So
the possibilities are endless. Okay, so if you do have an idea, definitely check out the guide to contribute on the repo, and then open an issue. I believe that's probably the path. And then if you have a problem or an idea for a plugin that could help you make your own presentations better, then do it. Submit it. That way other people can use it too. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, I also see a question around Demo Time. Is it available for Android Studio?
Yes.
I had that question already for, is it available for Visual Studio or for JetBrains and stuff? Right now it isn't. So why? Because I don't use these tools, so I don't know how to start developing for these tools. So yeah, Visual Studio Code is the editor that I mostly use, or yeah, actually the only editor that I'm using. The other editors, I'm just testing them out to see how they work. But yeah, right now there isn't any plans for that.
Okay, very cool though. But listen, I mean, for the purpose of presentations, like Visual Studio Code is pretty great. And now with the extension in, like, give it a try. Is my point. If you haven't tried Visual Studio Code in a while, definitely give it a try. Okay, what else you have in the roadmap for Demo Time? Like, what's the next things that you're gonna be adding? I feel like I've talked to you about this. Like, I think it was not even 3 months ago, and it looks completely different. Like, you have added so much in such a short period. What else are you working on?
Yeah, one of those things is this overview is still brand new. So it's created this week because I was in a car ride, and all of a sudden I had the idea of I need to find myself a way in order to know in order to see the whole scripts of my presentation. So that's what I came up with. There are a couple of people that I contacted to make sure, hey, is this something that I only need? Apparently not. Something else that I wanted to plug into the plugin section is if you're doing slides, you can also create your own web components. So you can have web components during your slides. If there are useful web components, feel free to contribute them because we can actually integrate them then. There are a couple of them already available, like a rectangle and a circle and an arrow and so on. But yeah, feel free to come up with other suggestions. Are there more things on the roadmap right now? I would love to have a better experience for PowerPoint to come to Demo Time. So like a PowerPoint exporter and converter to a Demo Time slide. That would be amazing. So if you have experience with that, yeah, feel free to let me know, and then we can see how we can work on it. I want to create a snippets gallery as well, because you can create snippets. Like snippets are reusable steps, but then you can create your own snippets or scripts and so on that you can share with others in order to do a couple of things. So that would be very beneficial. Other things, I think, just create issues on the ideas that you have on how to make it easier for you. Also just testing it. And one of those things is I would love to have a dashboard for the whole engage time thing that you just saw, to have a Q&A section in there as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's not part of Demo Time, but it is your product as well. But this is something that you also just shipped. Elio, when did you have time to do anything? But it's a polling tool. It's a polling mechanism for live interaction, right? Can you show us that also?
Sure. I'm going to show you that if my browser wants to work with me. I'm using a very cool product, which is called DeskPad, which is a virtual desktop. But I always lose track of where my screen is because my screen is on another screen. So what this is a way for presentations to make them more interactive. And this is something that is still brand new. It's the very first time that I actually used it live on stage. These are just two samples or demos that I created. So this was actually the session that I prepared. This is the QR code to the session. There's a Q&A section. So if somebody joins and has a question, they can ask a question, and then I can see them popping up. You can upvote and so on. So that during a session, nobody is going to interrupt you, but afterwards you can still go back, or after your session or live on stage, you can say, oh, I'm going to the questions. I'm going to see which questions I'm going to answer. If you don't have time, you can just answer them. Let's see if I have a demo over here, Q&A over here. Yeah. So this is a question. Cool. Thank you, Elio. But I can just answer it. Okay. Thank you. And then you can answer, or mark as answered is also something you can do. Maybe you answered it on stage, so you click on answered, and then you can see over here, these are the ones that are answered, all questions. Sharing resources, something that people want to have, but what the speaker most of the time wants to have is feedback. And what you can do as a speaker right now is providing resources, but also providing resources that become available after feedback is given. So it's an initiative for the attendee to also give some extra feedback, and then they will see the links and the resources for them to use. The polls that you were using before, like there's a word cloud, there is like multiple choice, scoring, yes and no, and so on. So the typical polls are there. There's feedback. So nobody else can see this. Only the speaker can see this. So I see that there are 9 responses of feedback. I got a 4.4 on the average rating, and you can also have some comments over here. Connections is actually brand new from yesterday. So if you want to connect with the speaker as an attendee, like you have a follow-up question, or you want to hire maybe the speaker or whatever, you can just say, hey, speaker, I got a question around this. You fill in your email address. I'm not doing any emailing. The speaker just gets a message, and they need to do the mailing themselves, but they see requests coming in. That way, if you didn't note down their LinkedIn, their email address, or whatsoever during the presentation, you still have a chance to do that. And at the end, you also have the analytics part. I can see for this sample, there were 8 attendees entered, and the overall engagement is 88%. Why? Because only 7 out of the 8 did something during the presentation. Could be that they just entered to view, but here you can see 2 participants did Q&A. There were 4 participants doing polls and 4 participants doing feedback. So gives you a bit more information around what they were doing during your session and so on. The experience for an attendee is you join via the codes, and then you see these things. So resources, Q&A, you can also upvote, as I said. So you can say, hey, this is an important question. So there are a lot of, or at least in Belgium, people are very shy to ask questions. In this kind of a platform. They can do it, but they can also see, oh, this is a very interesting question, so I'm going to upvote this. And it could be that, yeah, normally during a session, the one with the loudest voice is going to ask questions, but that is not always per se the best question. And now you have a chance to upvote some of the really clever questions that you might benefit from. Same thing for polls. Once you entered everything over here, I haven't entered it, so I can just say my superpower of the day would be mind reading. I think that would be an amazing skill. So you can just upvote it, give me a score. Sorry, you didn't do a good job today, so I'm going to enter 1, and this is also coming back. Feedback, I already gave feedback. Oh, I didn't connect. So what I can do here, I can say, hey, Elio, consulting.be. I want to just, consulting opportunities. Hey, let's chat.
That's
and then
very
you can
cool.
connect. You see that the connection is sent. You can only send it once, so you don't bother the speaker too much. And over here, you see a new connection. And then if I click on send email, it's just going to open up my email account or email application. So the application is not going to do this for you. I don't want to be a mail service. It's at your own pace that you can do it. You can either say archive or contacted, and then you can say, okay, I contacted a person. And over here, you see 2 requests, 2 people have been contacted, and so on. So a little bit more engagement during your sessions is done there.
Very cool. It's the different options for interactions. Are those customizable by the speaker or?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I don't want to have I don't want to have a poll, I just want to have Q&A.
Yeah. So polling is by default enabled, but that's a good one. Maybe I need to put that behind the toggle as well. But right now you can disable or enable Q&A, feedback, and connections. But polling can also be added there. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. This is amazing. I'm definitely going to use this. I think there is a couple of tools that are similar to this. Like most of them are just super bloated with ads. So you kind of, if you want to use it, you kind of got to endure the whatever background.
Yeah, and most of these tools are not really focused on the speaker. Where
that's true.
Yeah, this is also something I wanted to focus on the speaker because they need to gain some value from it. So, like the feedback initiative, the contacts, follow up. These things are not there yet. So, and the integration within demo time is not there. So that's also why.
Amazing. You're creating all these tools. I think of conferences that have like very tight schedules. Like if you can template this in a way that you just give it to the speakers. This is a conference template. Load it up from there, and then you can also use engage time for like follow-up questions so that you're off the stage. And then this is amazing. You're doing like such great work. So if you're a conference organizer, there's your idea. Go template this. You can create anything really, but most folks already like send you, like most conferences will send you like what they want you to use, but why not do it this way? Then you're using an open source tool, and then you have a means of follow-up and engagement for later. Very cool.
Yeah. One of those things that I just saw is how future-proof is the extension with upcoming VS Code APIs, which is a really good question. Like I keep on testing out the VS Code APIs. So right now there's no API that has been deprecated. How future-proof is it? Most of the time there are not a lot of APIs that Visual Studio Code is deprecating. And if they are deprecating it, it's like a couple of months ahead of time that you notice this. So in that case, it's fine. Is it browser-based? It's not going to work inside the browser, and that's actually a good thing. I want to create also a light version because right now there's a couple of things that the browser cannot do. So it needs to have then a light mode and the full-blown mode, but it can work in code spaces, so that works.
And thank you so much for the question, Mr. Salah. I appreciate it. And then we're getting thank yous, and thank you, Heinz, from joining. I love to hear if you folks watched this presentation and then went on to use demo time, like please leave a comment somewhere, leave it here on this is going to be, if you're watching us on LinkedIn, it will also be on our GitHub YouTube channel in the Open Source Friday playlist. So you can go back there and drop a comment. You can connect with Elio using the same link, using the same engage time link. And I'm going to go ahead and put it once again on the screen. So if you join the presentation a bit later, you know where you can go. So you can also connect with Elio here. This is amazing. This is such a cool tool. I think it's totally, and I think I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Elio. What happened to me 3 months ago when I talked to you about it, because I didn't sit with you like this. And I think this has made a huge difference for me. I think it's worth the learning time to set it up once, because then money. All you have to do is like, you can use the same parts of one presentation for the other. I mean, so it's going to take a tiny bit of effort for you at first to set it up. But once you're done, you're done. And if you're someone that's doing a lot of public speaking or a lot of even internal training, like within your company, if you're having to constantly do like these feature updates for your stand-ups, do one, and then you can just bring up whatever new features you're plugging in as it goes. So I see the upside of taking the time to learn it. I'm going to do it. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Elio, for bringing it here. And thank you so much for making it open source. It's epic.
I'm more than welcome. I love to have it as an open source project because I believe it needs to be a tool that everyone can benefit from it. So that's also why it's there.
Amazing. So folks, don't forget to go by the repo, leave a star if you have not done that yet. Please go ahead and leave a star. You can connect with Elio either via the application that we shared earlier with the Engage Time live session, or you can also connect with Elio on X. You can follow him on X, and LinkedIn, I believe, is another place where you're quite active. But this has been amazing. I mean, I'm excited. I think, listen, folks, with like things like GitHub Universe coming up, like a big stage for you to be stressing out about typing the wrong thing. This happens to me all the time. I do get super nervous, and I'm like, I always apologize before I start doing any kind of coding like that, because I'm like, you're gonna see misspellings, you're gonna see, well, that's a minute of time that I don't need to waste, and it's a minute of time that distracts from what my point is trying to get across. So this is gonna be cool. This is gonna be really cool. Thank you so much, Elio. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's
amazing. And okay, well, we're getting some thank yous on the chat, and then some feature requests to extend it to Android Studio too. Listen, folks who are Android Studio and other IDEs, like if this is your worlds and you want to invest in something that you know is gonna be good for you, but also for the community, this might be the project. So go ahead and go for it. And then for those of you who've joined us for the first time on Open Source Friday, we're here every Friday. So all you gotta do is tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern and take a look at the open source projects that are moving the world. Next week, we're gonna have an AI, I think it's a new data company with a new data project. And I'll be happy to share the issue. And then also, folks, if you have a project that you want to share, definitely go by our repo and leave us a message. Next week, we have guardrails.ai. I'll drop it in the comments. Thank you all so much for bearing with me and my absolutely insane deranged animal. I'm going to show his chain. Where is he? Oh, he's finally quiet. He's finally quiet in the corner now after causing an absolute ruckus. That will teach me to leave my door open. But Elio, this is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And then we'll see you next time. I feel like I have to have you again, I don't know, before the end of the year, because who knows what other things you would have added to demo time by then.
Always happy to join. So
you created a whole different project in between the time and added like 15 different features. So I'm excited to see what this is going to look like at the end of the year. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Andrea.
How cool is that? I mean, listen, even if you are not a public speaker, like let's say this is not the world you live in, at some point you're going to have to show an idea to someone. And if the idea involves coding or any kind of scripting or anything that can be automated, that's only going to make you look better. Like how amazingly prepared. So many wow moments. The zooming in, the opacity, like you no longer have to be like, oh, let me zoom in, or, you know, all these things that especially like presentations. Listen, folks, we're in an era where like our attention span is like 0. So if you have 20 minutes for a presentation and you're spending 5 with all of these interactions, oh, let me zoom in here. Oh, it's not on dark mode. Let me switch it to light mode so you can actually see it. You can automate all of that and actually spend the time getting your points and your ideas across. So support this open source project. Go by the repo, leave a star. If you end up contributing to this project or using it for your own demos, please let me know, because I'd love to send you a little something. I'm going to see if I can quickly show you this bundle here. Let's see if it's going to work. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. There he is. There he is. Look at it. He's embarrassed now. He's embarrassed that he made a fool of himself. Just wanted to participate in Open Source Friday so desperately.
incredible.